Law of sines day one, really not too hard. It basically, again, this is something that I say, not something you're probably going to find in a book. You need a pair. And what I call a pair is the angle and the side opposite that angle. The triangle that we're kind of looking at, now realize it doesn't have to be angles A, B, and C. That just happens to be what we have here. Any letters can be used. But the idea is if angle A is on top there, side A has a very particular location it has to be. And that is right down here because it's opposite angle A. With that in mind, this one right here where I put the red dot is side B, leaving this last one to be side C. And so all you really need is a pair and then one more bit of information. So you need 3 things total. Kind of the same thing with SOHCAHTOA. You kind of needed 3 things total for it to all work out. But what we have to have here is a pair. Okay, if you do not have a pair, you can't use law of sines. Do you notice anywhere on here for law of sines, does it say it has to be a right triangle? No. Okay, right triangle is your Pythagorean theorem in SOHCAHTOA. Law of sines works for any triangles that you actually have a pair. Okay? And all it is basically right here, it's a proportion. And once you get it set up, basically you use the 2 of those 3 that you need, and then you cross multiply, divide, and figure out your answer. So let's take a look at one and see if we can make some sense of this. So we've got some triangle here, all right. So we better draw a picture. I'm seeing a pretty big angle there, so I'm going to do something like this, because there's about 101 degrees, 38 degrees, and this is what, B, this is A, which then this must be C. I know that because it says it's triangle ABC. And so I can put 15 wherever, right? I just put it wherever I want? No, I have to put it opposite A, so 15 has to go there. Here it says to solve the triangle, which means I have to figure out everything. So let's face it, angle C is the easiest. You need law of sines or SOHCAHTOA or Pythagorean theorem to find angle C. No, you just need to remember that the total is 180. So what do we get for C? 40, is that exact? Yeah. Yep, there's no rounding involved or anything like that. It's exact. And so now the question is, yeah, okay, so we got that. Do I have a pair? Yes, I've got 38 degrees and 15. And so I would start right there. Say, okay, it's sine of the angle, which happens to be 38 over 15 equals. My suggestion to you, and which will save you a whole lot of difficulty, is please, if you have a choice in law of sines, either go for or use the smallest angle remaining. Do that first, okay? In this case, and a lot of these, it really isn't going to matter. But there are some times that it does. So I'm going to go sine of 41 because that's the smallest one remaining. And so it's going to be over what? What letter should I put on the bottom? Side C, exactly, because side C would be sitting right over there and side B is there. I didn't write them in to see if you could figure that out. And now here you just kind of have to be careful with your calculator. So take 15 times that, so 15 sine of 41. Now again, this is the way that I do it. This is the way I taught it in geometry, because when the 2 fractions are equal, that's when you can take that diagonal and set it equal to the other diagonal, which is C, times a sine of 38. Yesterday we learned how to do arc sine and things like that, right? Well, where's my variable in this setup? It's C, right? How is it attached to sine of 38? By multiplication, right? So I just got to get, and remember, think of sine of 38 as a decimal that your calculator is going to figure out for you. If I had some decimal times C, you would just divide by the decimal, right? So let's just go ahead and divide by that decimal and let the calculator do all the work. But of course, before you do all the work on your calculator, you should probably do what? Check your mode. Okay. And I don't have my calculator up yet. I'll fix that. Yeah, degree mode's probably best. Why don't you go ahead and work on getting side C. Are we expecting it to be more than 15 or less? A little more, why a little more? Exactly, it's 38 degrees, has 15 across, this is 41, so it is going to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, but not, let's go nearest 10th, it's fine. So, mode, am I doing good? Yeah, looking good. And so what do we got there? 15 sine of 41. And here's the most important part of this whole setup. I have to close off that parenthesis. Otherwise, I'm going to be taking sine of way too much stuff. Divided by sine of 38. The last parenthesis there is not that important because there's nothing after it, but you might want to get in that habit. So if you round to the nearest tenth, this actually rounds to 16. Okay? Because this is 9, you would look at the 8, which tells you to round it up, which means you have to round up to 16. So there we go. Right over here is 16. What are we going to expect for side B? Quite a bit bigger. So here's what I do, though. If possible, I always try and use the accurate numbers. 38 and 15, is that pair the most accurate pair I have? Yeah, because 16 is slightly rounded, right? Can I use Pythagorean theorem to find side B? How come? It's not a right triangle. There you go. Can I use SOHCAHTOA to get B? No, because it's not a right triangle. Can I use law of sines to get B? Yes, because that works for any triangle, as long as you got a pair, and I do. So we've got sine of 101 over B. So really, the only thing that changes for this one is it's still 15 and it's sine of, oops, 101, right? Equals B times sine of 38 degrees. So divide. This time I'll write it on the other board so I don't have to ask you what it is. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Does that make sense? 20, well, nearest 10th would be 23.9. Yeah, it does. It's bigger, right? I mean, that makes sense. Any calculator issues or any questions? So right here, 23.9. I thought I saw a hand. Did it go down? Okay. So that's law of sines. So I said law of sines works for any triangle, so will it work for a right triangle if it needs to? Yeah. And the nice thing about law of sines is you don't have to avoid the right angle like you do in SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so keep that in mind. Oh, all right. Solve the triangle. Well, do we have a pair? Mm-hmm. So let's see here. My pair would be what? Sine of 39 degrees over 44. What was my suggestion? Go for or use the smallest one remaining. So which is going to be smaller, angle X or angle Y? Y is going to be smaller, so let's go for that one next. So it's sine of Y over what? 45. What are we expecting in this answer? It's going to be really close to the 39, isn't it? Because it's very close to the same side across from it. Because this is almost isosceles. It's not. Are we expecting it to be slightly bigger or slightly smaller? Slightly bigger. All right, so let's go ahead and finish that off. So we go like this, 44 times that. And then 45 times that. But wait a minute. Why is this one different from the one we just did? Yeah, we are going to have to use arcsine on this one. Okay, and I would consider that as being the last thing you do to get the variable by itself. Because right now the variable is not by itself. It has a 44 on that side and it has a sine. Okay. Well, the first thing we're going to do is take care of the 44, which, to get rid of that, you divide. So sine of y equals this, well, somewhat big fraction. And you notice how I do a lot of the algebra first and then I go to the calculator? That's probably the easiest way to do it. But is y by itself at this point? Well, it's got a sign on it. And we learned yesterday to break the sign away, you have to do the opposite, which is arc sine of that. And so you take arc sine of both sides because over here it'll cancel. So angle Y is going to equal the arc sine of all of that. Can you type that straight in like that? Is that okay to do that? You can if you want. What some people do is they figure out, I'll show you what you can type it straight in like that, but what some people do, I'll have to write this down again, is they type in that, get that decimal first, and then they take arc sine of that, and I'll show you what that looks like. So yeah, you can just type it straight in if you feel comfortable, or you can do this. 45 sine of 39, I can remember, close off that parenthesis, divided by 44. Right? This will give you, should give you some decimal, but it's not going to give me the answer. This is going to give me the ratio of those sides. All right? Which, remember, those came out to be decimals a lot. And so that is what sine of y equals. So I have to take the arc sine of that. So the easiest way to do that is go arc sine, and then all of these calculators have this ANS button on it. What that'll do is it'll take that decimal and throw it right in there for you so that you don't have to write it down. Is that believable? 40.1? That's about what you were telling me anyways, right? It was just going to be a little bit bigger than 39. So 40.1. So could I use law of sines to figure out angle X? You could. Oh yeah, let's just go, it's 180 minus how much has been used up, which ends up being 100.9. Okay, this is going to be strange for me to ask you to do this, but I'm going to ask you to do something right now, but I'll answer the question first. Well, okay, the question was, what if you get one angle and two sides? So basically, let's just take away the 70 at this point. Could you still get the 40.1 and then get the 100.9? And then you would do law sines to go get the 70, right? If you didn't have this, and I had the three green things, that's law cosines. You need a pair to use law sines. Yep. The reason I gave you the 70 on this one is because of really what I wanted you to do next, and we have enough time. What I'd like you to do right now is, let's say you did not heed my warning, and you went after x first. Before you went to get y, you went to get x first. Do you agree it would be sine of x over 70? Right? Go ahead and solve that right now. Do the math to solve this. This will help you. Trust me, I know it seems like a pain, but go ahead and try that on your calculator right now.